Which Grand Prix will end the streak of not just Max Verstappen, but Red Bull from consecutive victories? Red Bull has 12 consecutive victories, carrying one over from Abu Dhabi last season, and now Max has 7 Grand Prix wins in a row. 2 more would tie him with Vettel at 9, 3 in a row would create 10 wins. Now, looking at the schedule I've pulled up here, I'm looking through the races that I believe is a very easy victory for Max or an easy victory for Red Bull. Now, the Grand Prix coming up this weekend, I think, is the most obvious case of an in-the-bag win for Red Bull. Now, last season at the Belgian Grand Prix in Spa, not only did Max Verstappen have a totally easy, dominant win, he had a dominant win over Sergio Perez, who was the runner-up, like 17 seconds behind. So Red Bull totally dominated there. They are just in tune with that track. Now, after that, you've got the Dutch Grand Prix. You got 3 weeks off, summer in Europe and everything. All of them, you get to take a little bit of a break. Max has won every Dutch Grand Prix there has been. There's been 2 of them. Was in absolute control of the last one, and the one before that was able to win in the Red Bull when Mercedes was challenging him. That's an in-the-bag win for Max. May not necessarily be a great result for Sergio Perez. Italian Grand Prix, Monza. Monza rewards the winner with the fastest car and the fastest driver. Now, who has both of those at their fingertips? That's Max Verstappen. This next race is one of the races that I could see potentially ending the streak for Max's wins, which means he would be at 10 at that point. Barring any, technical issues, engine gives out, maybe they have to replace a thing and he'll have to start 10th or 15th. But the problem with that Red Bull is it's so damn fast that even if he starts 10th or 15th at the Belgian, Dutch, or Italian Grand Prix, I think he could still just end up winning it on pure pace. Now, Singapore is different. Singapore is a street circuit. It's a very tight circuit. It rains sometimes. That part of Asia is very weird with the way the rain and monsoons. I mean, it used to be like that in Malaysia too. You'd either have a dry bone race or you would have a super wet, sticky, humid type of situation. Now, the Singapore Grand Prix, that's also a street circuit. Sergio Perez is the street circuit master. Not a master in terms of winning them all, but that's where he wins most of his Grand Prix. He's won in Saudi Arabia. He got robbed at Saudi Arabia 1. He's won at Monaco. He's won in Singapore. These are the types of tracks he does well at. Mexico is a race he brutally and desperately wants to win. I would love to see that. But it's also a street circuit. Sergio Perez, wherever he was driving, and he was driving in Europe a lot, there's some people who can just do street circuits. Some people not in Formula 1 can do ovals. Some people can do super speedways. Some people can do, very hilly type climbs. It's just their strength. Now, the Singapore Grand Prix, if Max doesn't qualify well, or if there's a ton of rain, which he's actually able to deal with well in Japan, it could create some sort of an issue where he loses out. Now, you're going to say, well, he didn't win the Qatar Grand Prix. Why don't you have that included in the list of races he can potentially not win, could end the streak of either him or Red Bull? Qatar is that Grand Prix that when you get away from another person, there's not a lot of racing, okay? You can pass someone if you have a fast car on the straight. It's really one of those Herman Tilke boring bullshit races that's completely not fun. The Qatar Grand Prix only has 2 stands. It's got the main straightaway stand, which anybody who knows anything about racing, you don't want to be on the straight of any track. Maybe you could make an argument for Hungary into the first turn is where most of the passing is going, and you can see that from the straightaway, but you don't want to be on the straightaway because all people care about is just seeing a car going vroom fast by them, but you're not going to see a lot of the passing or action. You're just going to see guys going in complete straight lines. Maybe you'll see the opening of a DRS with the way racing is now, but that's not where you want to be. And the only other part of Qatar that has a stand is like some uber luxurious area where all the sheikhs and all the rich people in the Emirates are probably hanging out at a VIP area that you'll have to have thousands of dollars or euros to get into. You might even need to know a person. Money might not even just get you in there. So that's a track that I think he'll totally dominate at, Max. He'll just win that one straight out. The U.S. Grand Prix is different. It has a lot of steep turns, tight areas, and it seems like Mercedes does very well at the U.S. Grand Prix, specifically the Austin Grand Prix in Texas. That's a track that Max has had a lot of battles with Lewis at that he may not have had in the bag last season. That could be a potential ender of the streak. Mexico is totally dominant for Red Bull. both of those guys do well up there. Sergio hasn't gotten second. He got third last time. He was fighting for it. And it's a track that they just dominate at, specifically Max. He's just so quick there. He was even on the radio saying, should I slow down? Should I keep it at pace right now? Nah, no problem. Sao Paulo, Brazil could be a game changer. Brazil is weird because Max had a great race there. That's really when Max Verstappen became Max Verstappen. Had a great race there when he was young. Beat both of the Mercedes. Just took a Nico Rosberg to task, passed him in the rain. He became like the rain master there. But that's a track that the Mercedes were super fast at. Other teams can have really good results there. Red Bull is not completely solid at that track. Las Vegas, a question mark. However, when there's a new track with no data, that usually tends to favor the best team and the best driver. That most likely will go to Max unless there's a team that has some sort of an aerodynamic or corner advantage that you saw Lewis was having during qualifying. Some teams can just take corners better, have better sector areas than Red Bull. If that's the case, that could be their end of it, but I just don't see it likely, as a new track with no data always inherently will be a popular and formidable and easy, not formidable for other teams that have no data, but an easy task for ones that are on top of their game. Abu Dhabi will be a total clinch. That's a boring track with not a lot of passing that you can just walk away with. So those are the three circuits. Singapore, Austin, Sao Paulo, Las Vegas, sort of a question mark, but not really. Those will be the tracks that Max Verstappen, that Red Bull will be challenged at, because at this point, we're starting to wonder, will Red Bull win every race of the season? I mean, there's only 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 tracks left. They're halfway through the season. They're unbeaten. They're the 2007 New England Patriots, except they might actually go all the way with it, although I don't think they will. I think there'll be a team that shows up. If something goes wrong with Max and Sergio just isn't there, McLaren could just top that, specifically Lando Norris, who's very quick, and even possibly Lewis Hamilton's in the right place at the right time. The Mercedes is quick, like it was in Hungary, but they maybe have a better strategy. That could end it too. But those are the three tracks you're really going to have to look for ending the streak of Max Verstappen and Red Bull Racing.